The Hermes one looks like a press button, and the hardware, like, it just looks so sleek, right? I like to call this the Lego Constance, but this version, it's like a little bit more subtle, so I quite like it personally. I'm sure if you saw this bag in real life, looked up at the leather, the stitching, you would be probably blown away by the impeccable craftsmanship. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. I wanted to do some commentary on some of the showroom pieces from the Hermes 2024 for runway collection, and let me know, guys, did you love the new runway show? Have you watched it? I know that in terms of fashion, people don't always look at Hermes, but if you are a handbag lover, you might be interested in some of these new designs they're coming out with. Compared to their last runway show, the spring runway show, the colors in this runway were kind of similar in a way. They had a lot of the Rouge H color, which we saw in the previous collection, and this bright red color. I also noticed a bit more like cool tone colors like E2 and very monochromatic outfits. I thought it was really cool that they showcased a few different types of Birkins on this runway, including bigger styles, which I know that I keep saying big bags are coming back in fashion, but you can see that Hermes is also following this trend. So anyways, let's go through some of the styles that are featured. Firstly, there's the Birkin in this east-west silhouette. I believe this is based on their older shoulder Birkin, which came out in the early 2000s. I think it was a Jean-Paul Gaultier design. This version of it is a little bit smaller in proportion, and it's quite cute. I'm really loving the east-west shape. I also have been really looking on the pre-love market for the Paris Bombay bag, because I have spotted these on like Vestiaire Collective and all that, but they're quite high in price. But anyways, I'm really digging this style. So the east-west Birkin to me is really cute, and a lot of the models were clutching their bags kind of like this. Like, what was it? It was like this. A lot of them were walking down the runway like that, and I don't know if that's like a nod to Jane Birkin, because there's a lot of photos of her clutching her bag like this as well, but that seems to be like the spirit of the show. The vibe is just to carry your Birkin like squished up in your armpit like that. The east-west style comes in a smaller size. I think it's like a size 28 potentially. I can't remember. I remember there was some leaks of this bag a few months back, and then there's a bigger size as well. Going on the Birkins, they have the regular Birkin as well in this fashion show in the size 30 and the 35. The 30 is, I would say 25 is the most desirable size for most people, it seems, like online and just on YouTube, but the size 30, it does seem like a considerably bigger bag, and I honestly don't wear it as much. I don't know why I don't wear a Birkin, but yeah, the 30 and 35 were seen a lot on the runway show, but not in colors like Rose Poupre. It was very muted, very classic, you know, neutral colors, black, and also there was a big focus on heritage leathers like box cuff, these smooth grains. Did have a few Bolide bags on the runway as well, including a Bolide in the Volynka leather. I'm not pronouncing it right, but this is another heritage leather that is highly desirable by collectors, and apparently it's one of the most durable leathers, and the way that they make it, it's apparently like brewing the perfect cup of tea. I think they soak it in tree bark oils and like natural oils, and then they soak it in leather. And I remember hearing that it smells like sausages, but I'm not exactly sure if that's correct. But it's a pretty rare leather, and they don't make it in a lot of styles. But I did notice on the Hermes website that they do make this Volynka leather in a notebook cover, so I would actually love to get the notebook cover just to know what the hype is around this particular leather. But it has this really rich kind of dark brown color to it, and as I said, it's supposed to be one of the most durable leathers from Hermes, and I think it really suits the Bolide as well. The Bolide is a really classic bag. It's over 100 years old and was created for travel, so this leather does lend itself to be, you know, roughed up and beaten around because of its durability. Bag called the Pochette de Pochette. Firstly, that is a hilarious name, but when I first saw it on the runway, the clasp from afar reminded me of like a Furla bag or a Louis Vuitton bag, which I know is a bit of an abrupt statement to make. I just know the Furla Metropolis bag. I have a few of these in like Hello Kitty variations, but see how it's got that clasp there, and I noticed them like carrying the clutch bags like that, and I was like, wow, that's like, I don't know, it was giving me like Louis Vuitton or Furla vibes. But upon like zooming into the pictures, I noticed that this bag is like so sleek, and although it's probably something I wouldn't buy myself, but I love how the clasp like curves around the actual form of the bag, and it really has this beautiful flow to it. And that's what I love about Hermes, is they always, although things look simple from afar, when you like zoom in on the details, it's actually more complicated than you think. And I was really curious to know how this bag would open, but looks like there's like a little circular button there that you press. And you know, usually like, you know, with the S-Lock from Louis Vuitton, you do that, or for example, this Verrou bag that is probably inspired by the Louis Vuitton S-Lock. It kind of does that. But yeah, the Hermes one looks like a press button, and the hardware, like, it just looks so sleek, right? Like, I was just like, wow, that's a really classy bag. And the way that it's sewn, it's just like such a beautiful curve. Anyway, I thought this bag looked amazing, but yes, it's a little boring, but I think it looks, when you zoom in on it, you see it's a really fancy bag. So the pochette de pochette I thought was quite a rather interesting bag. Then there's also, I like to call this the Lego Constance, because when I saw sneaks of this in the showroom, by the way, I got most of my pictures from Purse so I'll link Purse below, because they wrote a really detailed article about this collection. So yeah, obviously I'm just like referencing all their photos, so I'm just sharing my thoughts with you guys. But anyways, this Lego Constance, it reminds me of a Lego, just because the hardware is, I guess, not silver or palladium or gold. I have seen the Constance with like enamel hardware, but I've never seen it with, I suppose, like leather coated hardware. Oh, you know, recently they have been doing like exotic buckles, so I suppose it's like a variation of that. But this, the way that they folded it over, it gives it more of like a uniform shape, and I think it looks quite effective actually. And if you hate the way that your hardware scratches up on a Constance, this might be like a nice alternative. For example, like this is not a Constance, this is a mosaic bag, but I know that this hardware here will get quite scratched because of the way that you open and close the bag. I mean, this is a little different to a Constance, but you know, it's a similar kind of vibe. So doing that will always scratch it up. So this could be a nice solution to that. And I like how with this bag, it has minimal hardware on it, so it could match really well to a lot of outfits. And with this like quiet luxury trend as well, it's a little bit more subtle comparing to the traditional Constance, which I know a lot of people don't like because of that more H look. Like that's why I'm kind of steer away from the Constance too, because I don't really like the look of the, I think it's a little bit much sometimes, but this version, it's like a little bit more subtle, so I quite like it personally. And it looks like it comes in either like a chev leather or like the new Sham Killer leather, which is a little bit more shiny. Yeah, so I quite like this Constance actually. Yeah, so I thought it was quite nice. Then there was these other Constance bags, which were like crazy. They're in Swift leather, and they have printed on it like a tartan pattern. And I showed my boyfriend these, and he's like, that is disgusting. But he did love the Lego Constance. So yeah, I was asking my boyfriend about his opinion on these bags too. And yeah, he wasn't a big fan of the tartan, but I imagine the effect of it would be similar to this bag, which is also in Swift. This is a Lucky Daisy Pinkerton, and they have printed onto it these daisy horseshoe prints. So although from afar I thought this Constance was like a pony hair, it's actually like done like this. It's a Swift, and then it has printed onto it like this kind of like sketched on tartan vibe look. And I don't know, it's kind of random. Like I don't know how it connects to the collection, but I guess it's a nice collector's piece, right? I also asked my boyfriend about this Stars Kelly bag, which looks like it has leather marquetry on it, and he also was not a fan of this. But to me, it reminds me of something a jockey would wear, like their outfit, their uniform, and I guess it ties into Hermes's equestrian roots. Yeah, it's probably not my favorite, but if someone gave one to me, obviously I would absolutely love it. I'd probably wear it a lot. But also a new bag called the Faubourg Express. And when I saw this, it really reminded me of either a Plume bag or a Victoria bag. So the Plume bag, it is a pretty classic bag from Hermes. And for example, this is a Plume 32. And as you can see, it's a smaller proportion than this, and it looks like the handles are done a little bit differently as well. They're like bigger, and this bag also has like a little locket thingy on the side where you can close the bag, so it actually looks quite expensive, and I think it's in Evercolor leather potentially, and it has this nice little shine to it. It also comes in a smaller version, which reminds me a little bit of like the mini plume, which they did feature in the spring fashion show, so something like this, but it's a more that east-west silhouette, similar to like the Birkins, and yeah, it's just a different vibe. So I really like this bag myself as well, and I love the detail on the side. I think it looks very timeless and very wearable as well. Very, if you know, you know. It probably wouldn't be for somebody who prefers Kelly and Constance because it's just really understated, but I can see this being a really usable, and obviously the quality would be amazing. I think it's just such a beautiful bag. A new bag called the Collier de Attelage bag, and when I saw this on the runway, it really reminded me of a vintage style I remember finding online called the Farco bag, which a bit of a weird name, but the clasp of it is that similar cutout shape, and I remember seeing a clutch from I don't know what era this is from, maybe like the 50s, but I quite liked the way that little thing, the leather bit goes in with all the stitching. I thought it was quite cool, and when I saw this on the runway, I was like, I feel like I've seen it before, and I don't know if it's based on this bag, but I don't think that the Farco bag ever came in like this more like half moon shape like the Collier de Attelage bag. So it's a newer bag. Again, it has minimal hardware, so it's kind of tied into that whole quiet luxury trend. You really can't tell what brand it is. It does remind me of like an older Celine bag a little bit as well, and even some contemporary brands would probably do something similar. But when it comes to Hermes, it's all about the quality, it's all about the details. So I'm sure if you saw this bag in real life, looked up at the leather, the stitching, you would be probably blown away by the impeccable craftsmanship. So that's where Hermes's strengths are. Although the design doesn't stand out as much, I do appreciate it, and I think they are referencing their older styles as well with this bag, and it looks quite usable. I did see it in a few neutral colors, the Rouge H again, E-Taupe, more of a beige color, I think. I can't quite remember, but I thought it was quite an interesting bag. Probably something I wouldn't go for myself, but it was nice. It was the Verrou bag on the runway, but this Verrou bag came with a canvas strap, which usually you see the Verrou with a chain in this proportion. The Verrou does come with a canvas strap version as well, but usually I see it with like a funky strap, so it's more like polka dot strap or a check strap, but on this runway show they made it in straps that were neutral, which I think is a lot more wearable, because I used to have a Verrou bag myself with the chain, and I sold it because I found it way too dressy, and I tend to dress a little bit more casual. So I do think that the canvas strap does lend itself to be styled down a little bit easier. That being said, if you are a little bit more of a formal dresser, I think the canvas strap would actually ruin the outfit a little bit, and that the chain version would be better for you. But for me personally, I think I would have been able to incorporate the canvas strap version into my wardrobe easier than the chain strap, which is very dainty, and it's also not as comfortable as a canvas strap. So yeah, I don't mind this new iteration of the Verrou. Let me know if you're loving it as well. Mini Bolide, I noticed, coming back as well, but they've released it with a new strap. So it has this like really thin braided strap, which I actually quite like personally. I haven't seen this strap on a mini bag before, and I think it's nice because sometimes I do add like a thicker strap to my mini Bolide. So, you know, this is my mini Bolide, for example. It does come with like its own smaller strap. So it comes with just like a plain strap like this. But sometimes I find that I prefer it to be like crossbody. So I did buy a longer strap as well. I bought a, where is it? I bought this strap for it as well, like this canvas strap with the polka dots. And yeah, the polka dots do sometimes clash with my outfit, particularly if I'm wearing like something funky. So I have to wear something plain with it. But I do like how Hermes are like doing these plain strap variations like with the Verrou, because that's going to be way more versatile. And even for like my Kelly bags, I had to buy canvas straps on like Etsy because they did plain versions, whereas if you go for the Hermes straps, they're always funky. So I really hope that Hermes do more plain straps because they're just easier to wear with different outfits. And this new thin braided one, I do think it's a little bit more subtle comparing to these styles, and I do in a way prefer it. A really mini bag called the Chanel To Go, which reminds me a little bit of like the Chloe Chloe bag called the Nile bag. I don't know if you remember that bag, guys, but it was like a little bracelet bag, just the half moon shape of it again. But it's a little mini pouch that I believe is in like a goat skin as well, maybe the sham killer leather, and you can style it either as like a little kind of shoulder bag, or you can wear it as a belt, as like a little belt bag, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah, that's about it, guys. There was a few other bags as well in the men's collection, but I'll just stop blabbing on now because they were the most interesting bags to me. But yeah, let me know, are you loving some of these new Hermes bags that are coming out? Is there anything that strikes your fancy? And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Bye!